Hey everybody, Prowl here, and I have an amazing video here for you today. I'm going to give you a great guide on how to play Thor in ways that maybe you don't see from other people. Because Thor, to me, is maybe one of the most maybe the most versatile hero in all of Marvel Rivals. And I've been exploring and figuring out how to do that and how to properly use that. And I think I got it all together here for you in one good informative bundle. I'm going to give you good breakdowns of all of the moves. We're not just going to read the tooltips. I'm going to show you actually how they work and some things that the tooltips have wrong. I'm going to show you effective uses of Thor. So if you enjoy videos like this, if you want to see more guides on Thor or other heroes, help me get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers. That way we can get this thing monetized and YouTube ad revenue is a thing. And let's go ahead and hop in. So the first thing I want to point out is his passive ability, Thor Force. You consume Thor Force to gain bonus health. Landing a bash with Mjolnir on an enemy instantly recharges Thor Force. This is actually not totally true. So first of all, yes, whenever you spend Thor Force with one of these guys, you get a bonus 100 health. You can get a maximum of 200 bonus health. And you can keep refilling that up. So as you take damage, you can continue to refill or heal yourself effectively in a fight. It allows you to sustain a really long time in fights unless so much damage is coming at you so quickly and you just can't stop it, right? So super effective. We're going to go over use cases of that and how important it is. It might be the most important ability that he has out of all of them. So we'll go over that in a little bit. But the part that's a lie is the fact that if you hit something that you just get Thor Force. That's not true. So I'm going to wear down my Thor Force. I'll wait a few seconds here. And now I'm going to hit. I didn't get a Thor Force. Why? Why didn't I? You have to hit something within 5 seconds of using Thor Force. So it doesn't matter if it's the dash, the throw, or the rune. Either one of those three. Once you do it, if within less than 5 seconds you hit something, you will regain 1 Thor Force. Now, if you've used all of your Thor Force like I have here, you saw I hit, I only got 1 Thor Force back. That's it. You get 1 Thor Force back if you hit an enemy within 5 seconds of using Thor Force. That's how it works. Important to keep in mind because you do want to keep your Thor Force up. What you don't want to do is be running low on Thor Force from doing some hammer throws or doing some dashes for movement, and then you take a couple seconds to get to somebody and then you start wailing on them. Nope. Use your Thor Force as frequently as you can because that will help you keep it at full always. All right, let's talk about the hammer throw. You may see me look off to my right here. It's because I got notes. I want to make sure I get you guys all the good information here, and I'm not going to memorize it. I didn't want to script this because I like scripted videos sometimes, but I like it when people just shoot it to me real. So that's what I'm doing here. About 24 meters is your maximum range for the hammer. So I probably have to shoot a little bit closer. Interesting. It says 24, maybe just because of how we line up, but 24 meters, about this distance right here, is the maximum distance your hammer can travel. The way that it works is it does 70 damage on the way out and 30 damage on the way back into you, but it's really hard to do. So for the purposes of your use of it, it does 70 damage when you hit with it. There's no animation time, and remember, every time you use it, you get 100 health. Okay, let's put all these things, and it costs 1 Thor Force. So you throw the hammer, it does 70 damage. It has no animation time. It immediately goes out. It has travel time, but there's no time for the animation. It immediately goes out, comes back. And it gives you 100 health, and it has 1 Thor Force cost. Now, I bring up the animation because you can effectively animation cancel with it, meaning that if I'm sitting here hitting something, I can click the button and it's just instant damage. It's just instant damage. It goes out. It doesn't interrupt how much damage per second I'm doing with my hammer while I'm swinging my normal primary melee attack. So great way to put on an extra 70 damage mixed in to these normal primary hits that do 45 damage per strike. Okay. Now, keep in mind that it can be blocked by shields. So specifically Strange and Magneto, their shields that they can put up, those shields specifically block ranged attacks. This is a ranged attack. So if I'm sitting there wailing on Strange, if I want to do more damage to him, I'm not going to throw my hammer. I'm not. It's not going to do more damage. I'm just going to wail on him. If I want to do more damage to Magneto, I'm not going to throw my hammer. It's not going to do anything. I might throw my hammer at Strange if I want to wear down his shield more. I want to do more damage to his shield. But if I'm just trying to damage him, I'm doing this. I'm just swinging. You could dash, but the thing that we're going to talk about with the dash here in a little bit, as far as damage is concerned, it's not effective at all. You really don't want to do it for the purpose of damage. Not when you're already in melee range anyways. There's other reasons to use it, but damage is not one of them. So I'm not going to demonstrate everything with this, all the distances and everything, but just know that your Storm Surge, which is normally your shift button, you see I don't use the normal buttons on mine. I bind most things to my mouse. And even that little apostrophe there you see is actually bound to my mouse. It's just to an extra button that's on the mouse. Anyways, you hold it down, it charges up, you let it go, you dash forward. That's basically how it works. You can upward arc to get some height from it, obviously, and carry some more momentum too. So even though like a forward dash is technically only 20 meters, if you angle yourself up at 45 degrees and hold down that forward button, you can get more than the 20 meters out of it, just a little bit more anyway. Also, the wind up time that you have here, if you wind it up all the way and then dash, by the time you can use it again and you wind up to full, you're all the way back up to your full hammers. So you will not run out of hammers using this as movement in that regard. But if you're doing quick dashes and you're not hitting somebody to restore that Thor force, you will quickly run out of your Thor force, and then you're not going to be able to dash anymore. So you do have to manage it properly, and you want to make sure that you're connecting melee hits within 5 seconds of using it whenever you're in battle. Doesn't matter who you hit somebody within 5 seconds to get your Thor force back up. So the distances are different if you're trying to carry somebody versus not. So if I'm trying to carry somebody away, I can't go quite the same distance as if I don't have somebody. So just in case you want to know what those distances are, with no charge up time, it's 6 meters with a person, 10 meters without, and full charge up, it's 13 meters with a person and 20 meters without. That's the base. In terms of damage, no charge is 40 damage. So I can do this and I did 40 damage. Compare that to just doing this, and when it comes to killing somebody, like I said, doing this and this, in terms of just trying to do more damage, it's not effective. So if that's your only point is I want to do more damage to people, do not dash. Now there's a lot of uses for it outside of that. Even just obviously the one that people use the most is kidnapping, right? I want to take this tank over here. I want to beat him up in a corner in a side room. It is great for that. If you have an opportunity to do it and you don't have other responsibilities out on the battlefield that are more important, do it. Worth it, 100%. But it's good for a ground closer. I want to get to this healer that's trying to back up away from me. I'm going to get in their face. Maybe even more so, I want to disrupt that healer. Because doing this is very disruptive. They could be trying to CC you. They could be trying to still heal their teammates while you're fighting them, just hoping that they're going to have heals come in. They could be doing a lot. They might be trying to hit you, or a DPS hero might be trying to hit you. Doing this and just moving them around a lot is very disorienting to a large portion of players. So for that reason, it can be a very effective thing to do. It kind of just depends on what's going on. So sometimes you may want to dash and then keep dashing them and kind of move them around, especially if they're running away from you. If they're just standing and fighting you anyways, you might want to just use your hammer right click and then take them out faster, just like I'm doing here. You get a lot more damage that way. You're going to kill the enemy quicker. So up to you which way you want to do it, but that's how you would use either one in those types of scenarios. It is good for other things too. So for example, healers that place their ults down, think Invisible Woman and Cloak. Not Luna when she uses hers. You can't do this to her when she's using hers, but you can do it to other people. Whenever there's a healer ult down, you can dash somebody out of that healer ult and then beat them up. A lot of players, they think they're safe inside of the healer ult, and for the most part they are. But what happens if you pull that Invisible Woman who's close to the edge? What happens when you pull her out of her ult, start hitting her, and then hit a hammer with her, or try to pull her even further outside of it, because obviously she's going to try to get back in. Same thing with the DPS or a tank. Pull them outside of these ults, and then the same goes with Luna. She gets the ult around her, and then her team will often try to travel inside of it So what will I normally do? I'll try to snag the tank that's trying to stay inside of her ult, and I'm going to try to take him away from it, because one of two things will happen. Either he is left behind, you can potentially get a kill, or Luna sees it and now she's got to back up with her ult. So normally when a healer is trying to ult, let's get Groot up here. So normally when a healer's trying to ult, they're trying to push forward. So maybe they're trying to move into here, just as an example. I don't want them to come there because that's my ground. I want to be able to hold this ground. So instead, when Luna's coming forward, I'm going to grab this Groot and I'm going to start pushing him back and away. And then again, I'm either going to be able to fight him in a one-on-one away from his Luna healer, or Luna's going to come back and try to keep her Groot alive, which is probably what she's going to do. Now, instead of Luna gaining ground with her ult, now she's losing ground. Outside of that, this ability is super useful for so many things. It is great for contesting people at high ground. So, you know, just being able to dash up here really quick and maybe fight a DPS that's up here that you need to get rid of. Or you could be fighting somebody and maybe you even go around a corner away from your healers for a moment to do that little bit of fight, but you need to get back, right? So you can dash back and get in line of sight of your healers. It's good for going in and out. I see one of the most popular things with Thor play is one of the most popular things playing with Thor is people like to go in with him, cause a lot of disruption, fight, get a few hits, and then they dash out and back to their team. It's not really the way I like to play, although I do it sometimes. The Storm Surge, the dash, is great for that. It's actually, there's nothing more fun than doing a fight and there's a Hela up there that thinks that she's safe, and you just quickly dash up, Lightning Realmer, and then start beating her down, dashing her as she tries to get away from you, etc. It's amazing. You need to be using this in that way as often as possible and when it makes sense to do it. Next is Lightning Realm. Lightning Realm is normally your E button, and it does this little guy right here. It just puts this big dome around you that gives you a couple of things. It gives you Thor Force, 1 for every enemy caught inside of it. I can tell you for the most part, you only ever need 2, because when I throw this right here and then I use it, I'm back up. And especially if I would have been hitting, I'm back. So if you ever completely run out of Thor Force, which sometimes you will, especially if you do something like you pop Rune, and I'm using all my Rune right now, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the enemy. I might even do a hammer throw. I'm going to Storm Surge and I'm going to use my hammer and I'm going to get all 3 Thor Force back instantly. You instantly fill it up. So now the tooltip here doesn't tell you everything. It tells you that it gives you Thor Force, but it doesn't tell you everything that it does. If you look on the Rivals website, it does give you more information, but it tells you whenever somebody crosses the boundaries of the Lightning Realm, that they take damage and they get slowed. That's actually not true. Totally. Watch this. I'm going to put it down. He didn't take damage or slow down when he went in. He took damage and slowed down when he went out. So going out of Lightning Realm is what triggers the enemy to take a little bit of damage. I think it's 40 damage, and it causes them to get slowed down. So you have a few pretty nice benefits to it, right? You could do something like pop it and then immediately you can move somebody out of it. I could do that. So I can cause an extra 40 damage that way. A lot of times when you're that close to people and you pop it, they're going to run out of it unless it's another tank anyways. So you're going to most of the time get that 40 damage from the Lightning Realm and the slow effect. And there's a really good use case for that for a lot of things. I use Lightning Realm very often. So one way that I use Lightning Realm to be super effective when it comes to regaining my Thor Force is when I Rune. So I'll Rune and I'll do my attacks, right? Bam, 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 bam. All right, so now I've exhausted my hammers. So these guys are gonna come back up. I'm gonna hit them and then I'm gonna Rune again right away. So now I get 2 runes in a row and it does so much damage. So it's great for that. But even if it's not Rune, like I use it a lot. So I might just be fighting. I might go up to a DPS or a healer that's moving, or even a tank sometimes. And I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna start fighting them. I'm gonna pop it, and then they're going to move out of it. I'm gonna get the extra 40 damage. They're gonna get slowed down a little bit, and it's just an extra thing in your kit to killing the enemy, right? So if I'm engaged with this guy and I'm doing that, look at all that extra damage that he took. You get to kill him even faster. That's basically a great use case for it, and he can get away from you slower if he tries to run. So I use it against tanks, I use it against healers, I use it against DPS, I use it against pretty much anybody I engage in a fight with. And the only time I really reserve it is if I know I'm going to Rune, use it, and Rune again. So talking about Rune, let's go ahead and hop into it. Oh, and there's one other use case, but it has to do with the ult. We'll go over that when we talk about the ult. So Rune is by default bound to F on PC. And what it does is it shoots out like arcs of lightning for 5 seconds, and they come in bursts of 4. So if you watch here, it doesn't matter where I stand. I'm gonna stand right here, and I'm gonna use it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2. That's what you get. So if you hold it down the whole time, you get 4, 4, and 2, a total of 10. You cannot get more than 10. You can get less. You don't have to shoot the whole time, but you cannot get more. Now, there's one more aspect to it that a lot of people don't know about. I didn't know about it for a while I was using Thor, is when you Rune, you see this guy beside me, he's taking damage over time. They both are. That's about the range though. It's not much further out than that. You can't get too much of it. You can't get too far away from somebody for it to do damage to them, but that's an extra 30 damage per second. Again, if you're fighting another tank, that's a lot, right? So I could be up here fighting this Groot right here, and I could Rune, attack, keep attacking. He's getting damage over time plus the Rune attack. I killed him in 1 Rune use. I killed him in 1 use. And if I don't, because he's got healers and stuff on him, I can always Lightning Realm and I can Rune again. There's gonna be times not to use Rune. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit as well, but extremely powerful. It is, I can't stress how strong it is. So much to the point actually where I don't just use it in close-up fights. I like to use it to try to pick off healers too. But there is a problem with that, which I'll show you, is movement. If I get back kind of far and I use this, it has a slow travel time. So somebody that's moving predictably, like these bots here, they're not too hard to track. But for somebody that moves more erratically and unpredictably, it can be hard to hit them with. But a lot of times when I use Rune, I may try to look past the tank that's in front of me, and I may try to target their healers in the back. Sometimes you get lucky, you snag a kill. Sometimes you don't. Either way, it causes a lot of panic, and a lot of times the tank that you're like that's right in front of you, they're getting in the way and they're soaking up the hits themselves, which like on its own is fine as well because you're still putting out the damage. But a good sneaky way to get kills is to use Rune at range against your opponent. I like to also use it other things too. I don't think I have a video example of this, but imagine a Punisher on a turret, that nobody else is taking care of on your team for some reason because it's like they don't even see that it's there. I'll pop a Rune and I'll just throw lightning bolts at the turret. I can tank the incoming damage if I have a little bit of heals that he's putting out to me, and I can kill his turret. Same thing goes with the Namor Squids, and same thing goes with the penny nest. So all of those things, great to take out with Rune. Yeah, you'd rather be using it for damage, but if your teammates can't get to or aren't killing these things on their own, especially a penny nest, a lot of people aren't going to challenge that. You have the ability to challenge it as Thor, get a good angle on it, and toss some runes in there and kill it. Only thing I really don't like using it on his Groot walls. He could place them down too frequently, and they have fairly high health, especially I think it's the Iron Wall. It's not worth using it on those. Let your other teammates worry about those. And just think of Rune as a way to burn enemy resources, right? If nothing, you're trying to get kills with it, but even against like a Doctor Strange who has a shield that he's going to keep up and that protects him, right? Well, what happens to a Strange that or a Captain America whose shield has been burned out, who's been used, who's had all of its health drained? What happens? They don't have a defense anymore. So if I have a Strange that's hard shielding and he's getting healed enough to where I can't just whack him and kill him, right? Like I can't do enough damage to whack him and kill him, and then he's putting his shield up to stop the range damage for my DPS coming in. So what do I do sometimes? A lot of times I'll realm into his shield, knowing that he's blocking it, but realm does so much damage, you're going to destroy his shield. Remember, 70 damage per hit, you do 10 hits total. That's 700 damage you do in 5 seconds. It eviscerates his shield. It's gone. Now what is the Strange going to do? He's gonna die. That's what he's gonna do. If your DPS are competent, he has no shield left, you can always realm and then again go through and pop the Rune. Now he doesn't have shield left to block your Rune with. You're gonna eat him up. Or you can get close and start doing the 1-2 combo of primary hit plus hammer throw and do a lot of damage while your other DPS are able to now damage him because his shield is gone. But Magneto, I don't really use Rune against him often, but I will use it. If he just finished putting up his big shield, which can't be, it doesn't have health. It's on like a 1.5 second timer or something, I think, something like that. He'll soak up a lot of your Rune, but especially if I've seen him recently use it, yeah, I'll pop Rune on Magneto as well. He'll probably bubble, but now he doesn't have any of his cooldowns. So his bubble's gone, his shield's gone. What is he gonna do? He's gonna probably have to back up and give ground. And then you can then start walking in on him and putting some hits on him. And again, maybe even Rune again, if need be. All right, let's talk briefly about Thor's ult. I don't need to talk a lot about it, but basically what it does is you launch up in the air, you hover, and you deal 40 damage every half second, so 80 damage per second, but it ticks every half second. And it makes a cylinder around you that's 9 meters out. It's a cylinder, so I want you to know it's a cylinder, not a sphere, meaning you can go as high or as low as you want. It reaches top to bottom, okay? At the end of this time, I believe it's 1.5 seconds, Thor smashes down to the ground and does 220 damage. So the 220 damage on its own, not enough to kill anybody that's full health. But if you get even one tick and the 220 damage, then you're killing 250 health squishies. If you get 2 ticks and you slam down and hit somebody, then you're killing 275 health squishies. But as you'll see, it's kind of slow, right? So I'm gonna launch up and use it here real quick. I'm gonna launch up. I can't move very fast. I can track somebody with it, right? But it is a little hard to keep up. And like, let's say I catch this guy at the end of it. I can't catch up to him. He's kind of out of the way. So there is a good use case for it. There is a way you want to use it, right? So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to go where the healers are. I'm going to dash in here. I'm going to Lightning Realm, and then I'm going to look down and follow them. So I use Lightning Realm because remember, when those healers or DPS start running away from you and they cross the border of the Lightning Realm, they get slowed down. So, and they take damage. So, you know, here we are. I'm by a healer, right? I pop Realm. I hit my ult. He leaves it. He's slowed. He took damage. He almost died from the ticks. He was almost dead before I even smashed to the ground. Now, in terms of all the ults that exist from all of the damage-based heroes in the game, it's not one of the strongest by any stretch. But if you use it right, you can definitely get value. At the very least, you're going to cause a healer to use some sort of movement. So at a minimum, they're going to burn a cooldown. More often than not, if they have an ult available to save themselves, they're going to use it. It's great at drawing out support ults. And in scenarios where you have them grouped up, it can be a domination map where they're all kind of holding their side, or it can be a one of the cart maps where they're trying to push the cart. You have your healers there. Let's say they've just recently used an ult. Now's the perfect time if you have it up. Dash in, get close, pop your realm, pop your ult, which I did not refresh, and odds are you're going to get a healer kill at least. Now, this is what you don't do with it. You don't try to hit a mass amount of enemies with it. You don't try to hit a tank with it. A tank can just tank the damage in most cases. A lot of enemies around, they're going to scatter in different directions, and you're going to have to make a decision of who to follow. So that's my biggest thing, is when you use it, decide who is the specific target I'm trying to get. And when you pop it, look down for them and stalk them, follow them around. And try to get that one kill, secure that one kill. And then when you come out, depending on your situation, you will either stay and fight with your hammer and hammer throw to build up health, or you'll pop Rune to do a whole bunch of damage, or maybe you're in too deep and you dash back to your team and try to play the numbers game with them. But that is the best use case of it. I have heard, I haven't done this myself, that you can partner it with Rocket ult or Luna, when she has damage boost ult on, and it can get some solid kills on heavier targets, tanks that way. But you're going to have to coordinate that. It's not something on the regular that you can rely on. Oh, and one more thing. You are CC immune. You cannot be affected by crowd control while you're up there. None. There's no crowd control that affects you while you're up there. But you do have your normal health, and you can be killed. So Be careful if you do it, especially in higher up lobbies, higher up ranks, and you use it and you're out there in the open, you might get mass targeted and die. So just something to keep in mind. In lower lobbies, that doesn't really happen. People don't even know what's going on, much less everybody simultaneously thinking to target you. I want to go back and mention a couple of things that I forgot. One with Rune. When you're using Rune, you have access to none of your other abilities. You can't dash, you can't hammer throw. You do get plus 200 health, but during that 5 seconds, if you're getting hit, you have no way, no recourse to get out of the way. You have no way to continue building health. So when you use Rune, if you use it aggressively and offensively behind enemy lines in enemy territory, you need to be sure you're going to get value out of it, because once you pop it, that's it. You're either going to get the kills or you're going to die. One of the two is probably going to happen. You put yourself at a lot of risk. It's worth it in a lot of cases. Or if you know if you trust your healers and they're doing great, or you have another tank going in with you, or you're going in with dives, there's a lot of reasons and scenarios where going in and ruining is good, but it's not always good. Don't always think I'm going to go in, I'm going to rune, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of kills from it, because a lot of times you're going to die. And dying is the worst thing that you could do in the game, because if you die and you don't get a kill, or you only get one kill, you're not giving your team an advantage. You've done net nothing, or you've net hurt your team. So be careful when you use it. I normally like to use it when I'm up front fighting the tanks and I'm trying to aim down healers in the back, or I'll use it in those other scenarios that I talked about. I'm working together with the dive, or another tank that's pushing forward, or I know my healers got really good positioning on me and I feel confident they're going to keep me alive while I'm in there. I will go in and use it aggressively then. But it's not only an aggressive move that you have to go in with, is what I wanted you to understand. And you are very vulnerable with it. You can just as easily go in and maybe not get the mass damage, but you can go in and put hits on people and keep doing hammer throws or dashes and keep your health built up. And you can sustain inside of the back lines a decent amount of time if you're not being mass targeted by everybody. So sometimes Rune is not the best answer, but I'll say this as the last thing. I try to use it as much as I can. I do. If a lot of my time I like to spend is fighting in the front line, and then from there I'll pick battles around. You'll see that in the footage that we're about to start here in a second. But when I'm fighting in the front lines, I will use Rune very frequently to wear down tanks that I'm with. And I like to use it especially when I have cover around. That way, if I do get mass targeted, I have like a corner or something I could duck around to stop taking damage, since I don't have any other way to stop damage or get out of the way of damage while I'm inside of Rune. There are some team ups available for you, but they suck. Well, partially. You do have a team up where if Hela kills people, then you get a bonus 50 health or instantly resurrected at the spot that you died. So if you have a good Hela, or if you duo or group up with somebody and they play Hela, Thor's a great pick, because Hela can keep him alive, give him extra health frequently, and revive him on occasion as well. The team up that sucks is the one with Storm and Captain America, because Thor is supposed to get a plus 100 max health. Sounds good, right? You see right now my health is 625. Let's go ahead and apply this. And I don't have the health. You don't get extra health. You're supposed to, but you don't. It's a bug. They haven't fixed it. And it's not like Thor Force max health, right? Like I can't build up past the 825 either. You don't get the plus 100 health. It would be so nice if you got it. It would actually make this team up really, really nice for Thor, because he's already kind of beefy. Like you can get, like I said, you get 825 health and you can keep healing yourself. That's pretty beefy. So for that to go by 100 would be a big deal, but unfortunately you don't get it. I just want to give you a couple of Thor's weaknesses that I've observed. These are weaknesses that I have with him. Maybe others have better solutions for it, but an obvious one is flyers. Anything that's flying, you don't have an effective way to reach it. You can technically reach it. I can dash up to this dude and I can't get a hit on him. I actually killed him right there, which is kind of impressive. So you can hold down, dash up to a Storm or an Iron Man or a floating star. Like you can go up to them and you can do some damage, but you're not super effective at that. It requires you to charge up, to dash up. You have to be within a certain distance to get them. If you aim it really good and they don't move out the way, you can hit them with the dash, and then you can hit them with the hammer, and then maybe you even sneak in a hammer throw too. But just straight hammer throwing somebody, not easy to do. Also using Rune for something like this bot right here that's traveling very predictably, not that bad. And it may work okay if you're catching an unsuspecting flyer, but any decent flyer that's paying attention to you knows that you're there. They're going to be really hard to do anything about. So that's one issue. A lot of people have like Wolverine as an issue because he's the tank killer, right? And he is. But one really cool thing, I didn't bring it up. I don't have a way to display it here. And I can't think of any video footage I have of it. But there's a lot of characters that have moves that dash them forward. Bucky has his uppercut. Wolverine has his jump. Hulk has his jump. Thor has his dash. There might be some others I'm missing. If two heroes that have that dashing type ability hit each other, they actually kind of like bonk heads and fall down on the ground and are stunned temporarily, like takes you a second to get up. So if you're facing a Wolverine with Thor, you have a couple of really good recourses to deal with him. Just because there's a Wolverine does not mean instantly that you're gonna just get owned in that match. So number one, I bring that up because if you can tell that Wolverine's about to try to kidnap you, dash him. Why? Because then you'll butt heads and you're both gonna get knocked down, but he's not gonna get the kidnap. The short stun that happens to you that doesn't happen to him after the kidnap, and he won't get the full use of his slashing rage attack. You're going to cut short his rage attack, and he's not going to take you to the location where he wanted to beat the crap out of you. So that's number one. Number two, if he does kidnap you, even at full rage, he will, you're not instantly dead before you can do anything, especially if you're doing what you should do, which is build up your health pool all of the time. You should be at 825 health all the time. You're going to be taking damage, obviously, but you always want to spend Thor Force to build up that health. So you have that health built up, and then Wolverine attacks you and he pulls you off. He's going to pull you to the side. Immediately dash back to your team. Dash back in line of sight of your healers. You'll probably be fine. You will probably be okay. Now, it's better if you can dash in a way that doesn't pull the Wolverine with you, because then he'll just keep attacking you. So if you can dash away from him, that's preferred. But just get back in line of sight of your healers. You'll probably be okay. Number two is just play smart. Wolverines, when they like to kidnap, they like to hide around corners because they want to pull you into a back room where you can't be seen by your healers. So if there's a Wolverine available, don't play close to the wall here where he can just, you go forward and bam, there you go. Now you're behind the wall. Play an open space. Play right here. Because if he tries to kidnap me here, his dive might get me to right here. My healers would still have line of sight of me. I'm a quick, easy dash back in. So you can mitigate Wolverine a lot with Thor. I also recommend, depending on the situation, if you can catch him on his way in, throw some Rune at him before he gets to you. But if he's already on you, I probably don't Rune unless you're out in the open. If you're out in the open and your healers can stay on you, Rune, because you're gonna destroy him. But if you're not out in the open, if it's a tighter map and he might pull you away somewhere, if that's a threat, just fight him and keep throwing your hammer at him. Keep building up your health. As he's taking health away from you, rebuild your health back up. Throw down your lightning realm. So when he moves you out, he takes damage and he moves slower. Do all of these things. You can survive Wolverine. Yes, a good Wolverine is always going to get some kills on you. But if you have two equal teams, if your team is decent, the other team's decent, and the other Wolverine is even really good, you can mitigate and stop a lot of his kills on you. So I don't want you to get stuck by Wolverine. There are ways to combat him. It is always great to ban him, but I like to not use my bans. I like to just not have to use my bans blindly. For example, if like I'm tanking and I'm with a Thing is also a great counter to Wolverine. Wolverine can't pull him. If you're playing Thor and your other tank is playing Thing, don't ban Wolverine. Actually, actively do not ban him. You guys, you can handle it easy. Incredibly easy. He is not a problem at all. If anything, he's a detriment to his team at that point. So I just want to throw it out there. I hate when people think a hero is so overpowered that the only thing you could do is ban him. No, find a way to get around it. Okay, use your brain, find a way to get around it. Wolverine is counterable just like anybody else is, but he is admittedly one of the harder people to counter. I'll make the note about Bucky too. I don't think I have any Bucky footage. available for you guys. Bucky has the ability to pull you in. The thing is as long as you're within line of sight of your healers, I actually don't mind a Bucky fight. Like if the teams are close enough together to where I know Bucky pulling me in doesn't mean I'm just going to be instantly destroyed by their whole team, I'll dash into a Bucky and I'll start wailing on him because I can build my health up too. I have more health than he does. And I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this. I can out damage him. I do think I can, especially if I start dashing him and getting him a little bit away from his team. If he pulls me in, or I can single him out in a 1-on-1. Thor can beat almost anybody in a 1-on-1. Almost anybody. I can't think of specifically of who. There's probably certain heroes played certain ways that can handle Thor, but with your ability to put out mass damage at range and then to build up health and put out decent damage at close range and all the utility he has, so much. Anyways, let's stop talking about all the stuff. Let me jump into some gameplay really quick so I can show you guys a couple of things. We're not going to watch a whole replay. If you want to see a bigger gameplay based video of mine or of a top Thor breakdown, let me know in the comments down below. So I would say, so yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned a lot about Thor, if you want to see more Thor play, then definitely drop a subscribe, leave a like on the video here. Come check out my live streams. Proud Variety on Twitch, and I do stream here on YouTube as well. So you can just subscribe to the channel, watch me on YouTube as well, whatever. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see more, let me know, and I'll see you next time.